Hey folks, it's Tom, your frugal prepper. I'm out here working on this Nissan again. Sorry I'm working on it at night, but my laptop died and I had to go buy a new one. And by the time I got back, got everything installed on the laptop and got back out here, it's dark. It's dark 30, so I got the glove box torn out, here. And you get down here to the computer and you got to screw with that cover and get it off, and then get your probes in there. But basically my green probe is probed into the one that I think's bad. That's bank 2. The red probe is bank 1, and the blue probe is going to the crankshaft. So we're going to just scope all of these signals and see if they're all good or bad. Basically you have to look this up. I looked the connector diagram up in ALLDATA. It tells you where, it gives you the pinout. On Nissans, the pinouts are weird. They're kind of backwards. This is looking at it from the back of the connector, right? Not from the front. So you have to keep that in mind. Nissan also gives you little mini scope diagrams as to what kind of signals you should expect to see, which is kind of helpful. But they're kind of so crappy that they don't matter. So I'm hooked up. I've got this going, and we're gonna see if we see all 3 signals or we just see 2 signals. And we figure out where I put the keys. These are my keys. Oh, I got them in the ignition. And sure enough, here. Let me wipe off the screen. Sure enough, we got a flat line on the green trace. We got a good looking red, and we got a good looking crank signal, but we have no green camshaft position signal coming into the computer. So that tells us that we've got a broken wire somewhere in that harness. So tomorrow we're going to slice open the harness and look for the break. But yep, that's what we're seeing. All right, folks. So I just want to say, when you wonder why this costs so much, right, to have a car diagnosed, right? So you could have plugged in your fancy little scan tool and got a code and replaced the camshaft position sensor, and it would not have fixed the problem, right? The problem is a broken wire somewhere in the harness, and you're going to have a scope to read those signals. You don't have to have a pico scope, but picos are nice because they come with the waveform library, and they're just a nice scope. But you got to have an $800 laptop, a $2,000 scope. You got to have all the probes and wires and accessories and everything that goes with it, and it takes time to set all this up, to go look up the information, pull the connector apart, find the wires, get them probed, get everything set up and going. And then I had to stop because my laptop died and go buy a new laptop and install the software on that, and it's a new version of the software, so I had to kind of learn the new version of the software, which I really like. And it's just takes time. It takes a lot of work and takes a lot of expensive equipment. And this is where your neighborhood crackhead pad slapper isn't going to be able to fix this problem. Even with this little scan tool, he's not going to be able to tell where it is. I mean, he might get lucky and find a broken wire somewhere, but now we have to go look for how many connectors and splices there are, and then we'll see if we can't break this harness apart in 2 and tell where our break is. But we're definitely not getting a signal to the computer, so we know we got a broken wire somewhere. So at the end of the day, the fix on this guy will be to patch a broken wire. The process of finding it took hours and lots of expensive equipment. So when somebody says, "Oh, I just fixed a broken wire," don't be surprised if the bill is $300-400. It is what it is, and that's what it takes to fix modern cars. And you can have a normal mechanic wrench on this thing all day long. He could be replacing fuel pumps and coil packs and all kinds of stuff, but it wouldn't fix this problem. nothing you're going to bolt on is going to fix this problem. It just takes the diagnostic time and the equipment to go through it. And that's something that I have a little bit of a hard time getting people to understand, that's why they have to pay me so much. But if people don't want to pay me, they don't have to come to me. They can come to me after they paid somebody else to swap out multiple parts and still have a car that doesn't work. So and you know, I'm not looking for more business. I'm really not. I got plenty. All right, I'll talk to y'all later. It's time at Frugal Prepper. All right, so here is the wiring all opened up. Yeah, I'm going to have to, of course, tape this back shut. Here's the wire here and here. And so at first, I was not getting any connectivity through here. I wiggled the wire, I pulled on it, and now all of a sudden I'm getting connectivity and I can't get it to go away. I did notice there is a small nick in the wire right here. It appears that it's still making connection through there, but what I'm going to do is just replace this whole little piece of wire with some new wire, and then we'll solder it in there and heat shrink it, and then we'll see if we're getting signal to the computer now. But there's definitely was a break somewhere in this wire, but I can't find actually where the break was, and I've tried pulling on it and it seems strong, but I wasn't getting connectivity at first, and now I am. So there's definitely something in this piece of wire, so we're gonna replace it, and then we'll see what we get. Okay, so I've replaced the wire here, the white wire, and I rewrapped it around the black wire all the way back here through the harness, and ran it all the way back to here, and then tapped it in. I soldered it and heat shrunk it with some marine heat shrink. It's got the glue in it to keep it, you know, tight. So that looks good. You want to wrap these around if they're wrapped around. I don't know on this specific one, but a lot of times the twists make a difference. They help eliminate noise and interference from the signal. And that's twisted around the ground, so that tells me that that could likely be the case. So now I just gotta plug this back in and do a test, see if it's gonna work, and if I'm getting signal now, then I can tape this harness back up and you know, kind of try to make it all neat again. You know, you just have to cut it off a little bit at a time there, and you know, it's kind of a pain to get into, but you got to do what you got to do. And then we'll be ready to tape this all back up and kind of put it all together, hopefully. All right, so I have all of my signals now, and the timing chain, when it first started, I heard it rattle just for a split second, and then it came right back into alignment. I'm gonna wait and see if the idle comes down. Let it warm up a little here. We'll let it warm up. It's idling a little high. It's about 1500 RPMs right now, but it's cold. It's probably relearning its idle too, because now it's got the signal. But I have my green trace, my red trace, my crankshaft signal. Everything looks good. I'm happy with that. I'm gonna let her run for a minute. She needs to charge the battery up anyway. I had to put the battery maintainer on it and throw an extra 60 amps in her to get her to start. She's still rattling a little. I think she needs a timing change. Man, she don't sound good. Alright, I'm just going to let her run for a minute here and see what happens. Oh yeah, timing chain's making some noise now. What this is one of the guides go bad in here. And you can't replace this, the guide. You gotta tear this whole timing cover off to get to it. She's idling down now. Let's see what she's idling at. She's down below the 1,000. She's at 800 to 900. Still a little bit high, but not terrible. But that timing chain sounds pretty bad. Unfortunately, this thing's not worth putting the timing chain in. Darn it. I was hoping it was just the camshaft position sensor signal causing that phaser to be off. But it's definitely got a loose and rattling timing chain. Yeah, that sounds pretty bad. It's about to go. Well, the check engine light just went out all on its own. And she's idling down just below 1,000. Still a tad bit high, but I don't know where this vehicle normally idles. She sounds good other than that timing chain. And that noise is coming right from the middle here, where that guide is. So, or it could be a guide broken somewhere else and it's just got some slack in the chain. I think it's actually gotten worse because now it can adjust this cam phaser. I think that's making it a little worse. Well, shoot. I guess I better call the customer and give them the bad news. Alright, I got the wiring harness all taped back up and put back in its spot. I don't know, most of you guys probably watch Airco, but if you got to get down under these tight places with tape, you just put some tape on a socket and wrap it around. That way you don't have to try to fit this big giant roll under there every time. I learned that trick from Airco. I think he learned it from somebody else, but it works really well. It's a handy tip. So now I just got to put the inside back together, and this thing is ready to get out of here. And I'm on to the next one.